Hi everyone, today I'm going to be talking about Kappa. Kappa is an inter-rater reliability test to obviously test reliability between two observers. So first of all, I've got one of my timelines here and I'll show you the first step in order to have a look at the number of agreements between the two observers. So you've got your SportsCode timeline. If you go to File, Export, and we need an edit list. An edit list is a list of events as they have occurred over time, i.e. chronological. So chronological order is from the first timestamp to the end timestamp. And that's what this will do. So if I click on Excel edit list, it will then ask me to save it. So I'm going to save it as reliability and save. So I can get rid of this now. Close that down, close that down. And reliability here, this is my edit list. So if I double click on that, it's a list of events as they have occurred from the first whistle to all the way down to the end whistle. So once you have this, you need to do it for observer 1 and observer 2. And as you've seen from the first screenshot, we're going to cross-tabulate it. So it's a cross-tabulation, and we're going to use a pivot table for that. Once you have exported both edit lists for the two observers, so observer 1 and observer 2, then you can start to match them up against each other to see how many agreements have occurred by using a pivot table. One thing to actually note about this is that the order in which you click on your code buttons, which is in this column, and the labels is very important. Obviously you're going to click on a code button first, but after that the labels all have to be in the same order for you to match up observations. The example I'm going to show you is based on the code buttons. So observer 1 and observer 2. To insert a pivot table, we need to highlight observer 1 and 2, so click and drag over, and we need to cross-tabulate the agreements between observer 1 and observer 2. Instantly, as I pointed out before, we can see one disagreement there. So if I go to Insert, Pivot Table, it's selected that section that I've selected, and that's that there, and I'll press OK. So now I need to drag observer 1 into columns, observer 2 into rows, and then just drag one of them into values. And we can see the number of agreements now. So this being observer 1 here, sorry, and observer 2 on the top. So I now can see how many agreements, so they've both agreed on the first half twice. They've both agreed on aerial 3 times. Here, clearance, observer 2 has said clearance, and observer 1 has said that one was an aerial. So that's a disagreement. So we can go and delve deeper into that by going back onto the timeline and actually looking at that instance where they've disagreed with one another. And for this one, someone's put Chelsea, so observer 2 has put Chelsea, and observer 1 has put Manchester City. To calculate the number of agreements that have occurred, you need to copy. So copy this. At the moment you can't edit it. So if I try to edit this now and press equals, it'll say cannot change this part of the pivot table report. So we need to just change this to a normal table by highlighting over, copying, so we can either Command and C or just copy there, and then next to it we can right click, paste special, and we just want the values. So that's paste special and values, and then that's what we've got there. So on the diagonal now, which are these, we need to find out how many agreements have occurred. So step 1 is to find out the number of agreements between the observers. So if we go to equals here, if I click on sum, click on there, and the brackets will automatically open. So if I click on here, hold Command down, click on there. While still holding Command down, I can click on all the diagonals, well, the diagonal where the agreements have happened. So I want to calculate the total number of agreements. And then press enter once you've finished, and we've got 154. So that's our agreements taken care of, and then this is the number of rows within your edit list, the number of actions that have happened. So if we type in here where it says step 1, so I put this together with all the formulas in for you. So if I put 154 into there, and I want 165 there because that's the total number of agreements. So 165. With step 1 complete, now we can move on to step 2. So step 2 is all about working out how much can be expected to be agreed by guessing. So if we look at our data here, so we've got our cross tabulation. If we look at it, there's 51 instances there for city, 45 for pass. So the chances by guessing are 58%. So 58% of our variables are from city and pass. So if I were to just gamble and click on city and pass at any other time, we'd have a 58% agreement between the two observations, we'd hope. Okay, but we need to put that into our calculation. So to do this, we need the list of our variables here. So we can pick these here because they're all the same on this axis and this axis. So Command and C, or edit and copy. And we can right click and paste. Okay, so we've got those in there. So this colour is for us to fill in. So now we want observer 1. Doesn't matter which way round you put them in to this section. So if I click on here, down to here, these are our numbers. So Command and C. And Command and V is the shortcut for copy and paste. And then a little trick here. So with these ones, we need to change them so they're vertical rather than horizontal, these numbers. So we go to, you guessed it, Command and C. And then here we need to right click and click on paste special. And there's a little tick box here, so transpose. This actually just swaps it round from horizontal to vertical or vertical to horizontal, whichever way round you want it to be. So now I've copied those into there, and it's worked out these expected to be agreed by guessing calculations out for me. It's also updated this section. Okay, so this is step 2 complete. I'll just show you this calculation. Step 2 is equals sum. I'll click on that, and it's actually that. So observer 1 multiplied by observer 2 and then we're going to divide that. So close the brackets, divide it by the total. Okay. Okay, so that's 0.2. It only came up with an error there because I had that there, and it'll come up with an error and ask you to change it. So I just said yes. All right, and all I can do then, once I've done that, is drag that down. Okay, but you see the problem here. I've dragged it down because I want it that observer times by that observer for this variable. But then I also, within this formula, I've got A05, which is this. So I need this to be the same all the time. But for this one, it's A06. So in order to change that, if I just put a $sign here and a $sign there, that will keep it on that cell. Press return or enter, and then drag that down, then it should all update. And that's step 2 complete for that section. So step 2, the second part really, is total agreed by guessing. And all this is really is a equals sum, and we're going to highlight over. So it's a total of the agreed by guessing, which we need to work out. Press return or enter, and there we have it, 33.72. And this is within step 3, so that's why we need to work this out. So the proportion agreed by guessing is this now divided by the total number of actions or rows within the edit list. So if I go equals sum, and click on that, click on 33.72, and I want to divide that by the total, which is 0.2. And that's step 2 complete. Moving on to step 3. So step 3 is a simple one, and we're just combining step 1 and step 2 into the final calculation for the overall Kappa agreement from our analysis between the two inter-rater observers. So if I go hover over that, you can see the calculation there, but I'm going to show you what that means now. So I'll get rid of it, and you just go equals sum again, so sum, click on there, and now it's, as you can see from the previous slide, from the introductory slide to step 3, we click on here, so it's the total agreements, and that's minus the proportion agreed by guessing, and then we've got the closed brackets, and we need to divide that, so the slash there, by 1 minus the proportion agreed by guessing. And then I'll press enter now, and it'll tell me, it'll auto correct as well. So if I press that, it's just telling me that I need to put a bracket on the end there because I haven't. So if I press yes, there we have it. So our Kappa value of 0.92. And as you can see from Peter O'Donoghue's book, Research Methods in Performance Analysis, 0.92 is a strong relationship between observer 1 and observer 2. And thank you for watching.